What is a survival myth that is completely wrong and could get you killed?
Rationing water is generally a terrible choice. Drink what you have until it's gone. Use that time with good hydration levels to take stock of your situation and make good choices. Decision-making and physical ability drop off very quickly when you are dehydrated. The first decisions you make after realizing you are in a survival situation are critical and pay long dividends. Most survival situations are resolved within 72 hours, and many hikers are found dead in the desert with full water bottles.
Excuse me, but where did you find the information about the last fact?
I'm curious too. Holy shit.
I used to work with a guy who spent much of his Air Force career teaching survival to air crews, and I remember him saying, ration sweat, not water. He said to conserve energy and avoid doing physically strenuous things like constructing a better shelter during the day, but keep drinking water. His other maxim was, if you're not peeing, you're not drinking enough.
Changing the voicemail on your mobile phone to tell incoming callers about your plight. That bullshit just wastes battery at the first sign of trouble. Send a SMS with your best location details to everyone on your contact list, even if you have no signal, and set it to max power save with Wi-Fi, mobile data and Bluetooth off. Your phone will continually try to get the SMS out even if you get a little signal for a few seconds, and will use a lot less power doing it.
Additionally, call 112-911 first even if you don't have any signal. Emergency calls are not restricted to your provider's network and still work at lower signal strength than normal calls. Besides that, who came up with the mailbox thing? How likely is it that someone listens to your voicebox message coincide tally at the exact time when you're in danger?
Perhaps not really a myth, but something people may think is true after watching people get rescued from the water on TV. Get them breathing and send them on their merry way. If you rescue someone from a near drowning, they still need to go to the hospital, even though they are safely on land now. The lungs are coated with a slippery mucus-like substance called a surfactant. It's kind of a lubricant, and it keeps them from collapsing and sticking to themselves. If they ingested a lot of water into the lungs, chances are they have washed away the surfactant. Their lungs could collapse at any moment and their ability to uptake oxygen is reduced. Get the survivor on oxygen. Source: Rescue Trained Scuba Diver here.
Can confirm. Dry drowning is a thing. Past lifeguard.
I saw a heartbreaking story about this on a documentary, where a kid had survived a potential drowning. Everyone thought he was fine and he was functioning normally, so went home with his family. Later that day his lungs collapsed and he dropped dead.
Drowning people do not cry for help or make gestures to try and get someone's attention. What they are doing is trying to stay afloat and trying to catch their breath. Never count on a cry for help.
Can confirm. As a small child, I jumped into the deep end of the pool to join my big bros. As I couldn't swim, it didn't go well. My slightly older brother tried to save me, and I climbed him to catch my breath, almost drowning both of us. Somehow, he managed to get us both to the side. Honestly, what was the lifeguard doing? He didn't even seem to see it.
This exact thing happened to me, except I was the older brother. It was so strange seeing your comment line up so perfectly with my story. If you go into a lake when in a car, don't wait until the car fills with water. Just open the window and get out ASAP. If you wait, you could be 200 feet down or flipped over on the bottom. The power will still work for a short time. It only takes a few seconds. Edit. Source: Must Buddy did his master thesis on exactly this, and I got to practice it several times in a pool.
You got to practice that in a secure environment? That must have been a lot of fun.
Saw this on Top Gear a long time ago. The quicker you try to escape, the better your odds are.
True. Also, if it's fresh water, the car's headlights and electronics can stay on for up to 15 minutes as the water has fewer conductive minerals. Punching/smashing the windows won't work from the pressure, nor will opening the doors, so rolling down the windows and climbing/swimming out is your best bet at surviving.
That bears can't run down hills. They can. They'll get you too.
I was actually going to try and find this fact, and what do you know? It's at the top. Bears are no joke. They run, climb and swim like a damn CrossFit junkie jacked up on meth. Another thing is they don't gas out quickly. I've seen videos of bears running full speed, then swimming across a river and running full speed again to catch prey. Insane.
The best defense against a bear is a .22 caliber pistol. I was walking with my buddy one time, and a big mean bear came out of the woods. I pulled out the 22, shot my buddy in the knee, and walked off at a brisk pace. That bear never even bothered with me.
The classic, you don't have to outrun a bear, you just have to outrun your friends. This adds an extra step to ensure you have an edge.
Also on bears, standing up and making yourself big and imposing only works with black bears. If you do this to a brown bear, grizzly, you're cooked.
You won't need that. We won't be gone long. Carry basic survival tools whenever you go out hiking, hunting, camping, etc. Things like a magnesium with flint and steel fire starter, a life straw or water purification tablets don't weigh much or take up much space and can be a lifesaver. Many get lost on short trips or get injured leaving them stuck in the wilderness. It doesn't take a massive forest or jungle to get lost. In my personal hunting pack I always carry a survival knife, fire starter, and life straw. These three items may not guarantee survival, but they improve my odds.
If you're going on a short hike or hunting for a day, a Bic lighter and a couple of folded-up trash bags, as well as a small pocket knife or multi-tool will go a long way to keeping you safe if you get lost. It takes some practice to get a fire started with a flint and steel, but a full Bic lighter will get you at least a dozen fires pretty easily. 2 trash bags can be filled with leaves and brush to make a makeshift bed to get you off the cold-ass ground, and a knife is invaluable. All 3 of these things can be stuck in a pocket before leaving and don't weigh shot. 2 of the 50-gallon trash bag liners fold up to smaller than a wallet and slide into your back pocket. It's also important to let people know where you're going and when you'll be back, and let them know you'll check in within 24 hours or that they should alert someone. You've got gear for one night out, not enough to build an off-grid cabin. It'll be a miserable night, but you at least might make it through.
Myth. If you're stuck in a car trunk, all you do is scream for help and make noise through. If you're ever locked in a car trunk, look for an emergency release lever/button. These are requirements for cars built 2002 or later.
Yes, and you can also kick the backlights out in most cars.
A woman did this not that long ago, can't remember the exact story. She stuck her hand out and got the attention of motorists.
Wait until you hear the freight train sound to go to the tornado shelter. I was always told as a kid, if you can't hear it you're alright. At 20 years old I was caught out in the woods with a few friends thinking we had 10 to 15 minutes to get back to the truck after the tornado warning went out. 3 minutes after the warning we heard what sounded like a freight train and this loud hissing sound. Like 1,000 rattlesnakes. Within 30 seconds we were watching trees get plucked up into the air. We all made it out alright. Luckily there was a large ravine that was dry that time of year and we scrambled into it and flattened out, gripping to each other and rocks for dear life. It took 30 seconds from the time we realized it was in front of us till it was on top of us. Later in life I watched a F3 touchdown. Because how tornadoes spin and the earth spins, and I was traveling at 75 miles per hour down a highway. I thought I was running alongside it. About 1 mile from it. I couldn't hear it, I could see trees and vines going up into the air with it. I never realized it was coming towards me at about 30 miles per hour. By the time I heard it and felt a pressure change inside the cab of my truck, I had no choice but to bail out and run into a culvert alongside the interstate. This all happened within 60 seconds. If you've already heard the tornado, you need to be in your shelter, not heading towards it. A tornado watch is an advisory to be watching for tornadoes. It means it is highly plausible for a tornado to form and touch down. A warning means a radar-indicated tornado has touched down and possibly even been spotted by human eye. If you cannot get indoors, get as low as you can. I have made a habit, as soon as a tornado watch is released in my county, my go bag, the diaper bag, the kids' stuff they will need all goes in a large duffel in the storm room. I'll watch velocity radar like a hawk until the watch is cleared. If it is elevated to a warning, we all pile in. Tornadoes can drop out of the sky right on top of you in under a minute, leaving you with little to no reaction time.
Might also be worth mentioning that if you're looking at a tornado and it has no apparent movement, it's moving toward you.
They don't happen in my country, but thanks for sharing this. It really expanded my view on how our daily experiences differ.
Grew up in the upper Midwest, can confirm. Some of my family was lived through the tornadoes outbreak in I think '79 when an F5 tornadoes completely destroyed Xenia, Ohio. None of them played around after that when the sirens started going off. Can't tell you how many times in my childhood I was woken in the middle of the night in pitch black and literally tossed down the cellar stairs onto a mattress. Tornadoes are ducking terrifying.
Zigzag to escape an alligator. Alligators can turn, but can and will only run in short bursts. Just run as fast as you can.
Fun fact, alligators only run for short durations because the way they wiggle when they run compresses their lungs so they can't breathe while running. Another fun fact, same.
Seems like I heard, if you are within 12 feet he can get you.
Outside 12 feet you can get away.
Rule of thumb, don't be within 12 feet of an alligator.
Even bigger rule of keeping your thumb. If you are close to both an alligator and water, get the hell away. A gator near water is much more deadly than one walking down the street. Once they get you underwater, it's pretty much over.
That you can easily disarm someone holding you at gunpoint.
Detroit urban survival flashback.
I wanna see that dude try that shot in the actual streets of Detroit so bad. M. Furs would sell both his earpieces on Craigslist for $5 the next day. LMAO.
Literally just saw a kid shoot him with an airsoft gun while trying his little tactic, and H's like that did count. So he did it again. Still got shot.
My karate teacher taught us this move where you get your finger between the hammer and the gun. And, then proceeded to tell us for 15 minutes to never ever use this move. That running away is always better. Still, every kid in that class will recall that move.
Do not wander off to look for help. Stay put. Stay by your car, or wherever you realize that you are lost. The more you move, the harder it gets for rescue to find you. Make yourself visible, but do not try to find the way back yourself. You already don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going.
If it's absolutely necessary to relocate, use something like rocks to make a sturdy arrow, sign of the direction you go.
I am directionally challenged, so I would definitely have to do this. I don't usually carry lipstick, but maybe I'll start to go with the Jennifer Connelly method and write arrows on trees.
Do not try to leave a deserted island. If you are stuck, you will almost certainly die before someone spots you.
All good. Gilligan's Island taught me it's better to stay put and spend my resources making bamboo golf carts and bathtubs.
There were some collaborate efforts on the net looking for airplane debris, or damaged ships after a massive storm. It's so difficult to tell things apart even from good satellite pictures. Is that something, or just another of the countless reflections and weird shadows? Searching islands is much less surface than searching an ocean. And the chances for water, shelter and food are so much better.
Also, if I don't leave, it won't be a deserted island. Taps forehead.
More just a hey don't do that, leave large animals alone. Even if you find say a large track or droppings that make you think hey that's probably a big enough animal to kill me, leave the area. Herbivores like moose or elk or bison can kill you just as easily as a bear. Often far more likely because they see you as the predator. Don't close the distance if you find a large critter. I don't care if the photo is shoddy from that distance. Better to have a crappy photo of a bison than get crushed and stomped in the middle of nowhere to bleed out alone.
I can't help but laugh sometimes at videos of people having to dip out when they pass off bison. It's a 3,000+ pound tank made of meat, and they are ornery at the best of times. How did they think that was gonna play out?
I was passing through Jasper and saw a bunch of tourists taking photos of a grizzly cub walking in a ditch. The ditch was about 5 foot down off the road, and where they were standing they couldn't see the mother bear in the woods. I could see it from the car, so I stopped and told them they should get back in their vehicles. Their response? "Fick off." I said alright then, fick you, and left. 1 hour later I heard on the news there was a bear attack in Jasper. Don't go near the small ones either.
I don't know if this is considered as a survival myth, but engaging street fights is never a good option. If there is an altercation that may lead to a street fight, just stay calm and run away from the situation. No one wins real street fights. Someone will either end up in a hospital or in a funeral. That's just the truth.
And if you can't run away, don't fight fair. Fighting fair is for martial arts contests. But definitely run away first.
Best way to win a fight, no be there.
The difference between the winner and loser in a knife fight is one died in the ambulance and the other in the street.
If you're driving during a tornado warning, don't get out of your car and climb up the side of an overpass to hide under a bridge. This myth became famous after amateur video of a man and his daughter hiding under an overpass, but the one they chose had some unusual construction that offered them protection in a way most don't. Wind speed increases the higher you get from the ground, then the narrow passages can create a wind tunnel effect, taking the flying debris picked up by the tornado and sending it straight through you at 200 miles per hour or more. Edit, well, this blew up. Here is the video I was referencing, actually not amateur, but taken by a TV crew during the April 24, 1991 outbreak in, and for someone who suggested you can just outrun tornadoes because they only move at 20 miles per hour, that is definitely not true, as the 2013 El Reno tornado showed us all too tragically.
What about lying in a ditch? Genuine question.
This is definitely something I learned growing up. Obviously, if your vehicle can take you to shelter before the tornado reaches you, do that instead. What I was taught is that if there are no other options, get in the ditch, get as low as possible, and protect your head as the tornado, hopefully, passes over. As for shelter, a basement or a cellar is preferable. If not, take shelter in the ground floor bathroom. The plumbing helps reinforce the walls. I've also heard to take a mattress in with you to use as cover. Debris being whipped around by high force winds is dangerous. Basically, get as low to the ground as you can and cover your head. I'm in no way a tornado expert, but I grew up in an area where tornadoes were a natural disaster we prepared for and spent many a tornado drill with my face way too close to the school's bathroom floor.
In Australia we don't have basements or cellars for majority of Australia anyway, so we're always told in cyclone season to get in a bath and put a mattress on top if possible.
In Oklahoma in the US, most of our state is too close to the water table for basements to be cost-effective for most homes, so instead some people still have small shelters in their backyards. Mattress over yourself in a central bathroom bathtub is also what we've been taught here as last resort in home, laying down in a ditch if you're caught out in the open. We've the most tornadoes in the world in my region, so I'm very glad this thread is the top comment. Excellent life-saving information.
If you're unfortunate enough to be in a bank whilst an armed robbery is underway, don't be a hero. The banks are insured and the money can be replaced. Your life can't be replaced. Just because the robber didn't go into the bank with the intention of killing anyone doesn't mean they still won't if spooked. Challenge. A living witness is better than a dead hero.
We want to hurt no one. We're here for the bank's money, not your money. Your money is insured by the federal government, you're not gonna lose a dime. Think of your families, don't risk your life.
We did robbery training when I worked in a casino. Didn't need to be told not to give a FK about people taking money that doesn't belong to me, that's for sure.
The average bank robber only gets like $6,000 of FDIC insured money. Yeah, don't do shot.
Punching the biggest guy in prison on your first day.
Real talk, from an actual former criminal, your best bet in jail/prison is to just be normal and blend in. It isn't as extreme as media makes it out to be.
If you're nice and chill, do they leave you alone? I think it probably depends on the prison and the people in it. My dad was nice to the guards and mostly kept his head down, and he was pretty much left alone, and any small disputes were pretty quickly and peacefully resolved. They taught him how to make dream catchers and he just made a bunch of those to pass the time. He told me he'd give them to the guards and they'd sometimes give him candy bars or whatever. I still have the little pink one he made for me.
Used to work in a prison, I can comment on this. Whenever you see those prison TV shows about the new people getting harassed and tested as soon as they come to the cell block for the first time, that's really not what happens most of the time in real life, and those dudes are just doing it for the camera, knowing that if they do something big, it'll make it onto a TV show. It also really depends on what kind of facility you're in. If you're in low security prison and most of those dudes are going home someday, they aren't going to want to duck up their chances of going home on time by doing something stupid like getting into a fight with you. If you're also in a high security prison, most of those dudes aren't going to want to fuck with you anyway, because ironically, the highest security inmates were the most well-behaved ones that I ever interacted with. It took me a while to come to this conclusion, but I believe the reason is because most of those dudes have accepted their fates and know that if they act up in prison, it's just going to make their lives harder, and they know they ain't going nowhere. We had a small residential building in one of the facilities I worked at that came with the most privileges, and you had to meet a very strict set of post-incarceration behavioral criteria in order to be housed there. It was full of people with the worst crimes you can imagine. Infanticide, incestual rape, murder, dismemberment, torture, animal abuse. The medium facilities are what's really going to get you though. Lots of wannabe tough guys in there who are doing their first long stint and have a chip on their shoulder with something to prove. Although still highly unlikely to be messed with, the medium security facilities do offer the highest chances of it. All in all, the way prison is portrayed in both reality and scripted TV shows and movies is laughable to anyone who's ever been on the inside, either side of the bars. The vast majority of people in those facilities are just people trying to live their lives the best they can under their current circumstances and won't go out of their way to cause trouble. Not to say it won't happen, but the best thing to do if you start to get ducked with is to fight back. Stand up for yourself if somebody steals your stuff or cuts in line in the chow hall. Once people know that you'll put up a fight if you try to push them around, they'll leave you alone.